All right, what's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to be talking about the most important games on Florida's schedule for 2025. Florida should be starting their spring practices very soon. If I think they start Thursday. Today is Tuesday at the moment, so I think they're going to start Thursday, and then they're going to prepare for the spring game that's coming up on the 12th. So in this video, excuse me, we're going to be talking about the games, the most important games for Florida this season, and we're only going to be we're going to be focused on the top five. I will mention the other teams just so you know that way you all know the build up to the top five, but we're going to save our analysis and breakdowns of each of the games for the top five. So 6 through 12 we'll list off the games. We'll do maybe a little bit of coverage on one of the games in particular, but I'm not going to go on a tangent about these games. So number 12, least important. I mean, they're all important to some extent, but you're not like circling this one in red, is obviously the opener against Long Island. It should be a pretty easy victory for Florida. Number 11, USF, South Florida. For those of you that want to say it, the last time South Florida was at the Swamp, Billy Napier needed a miracle and the center for USF snapping the ball over the quarterback's head and losing like 25 yards. So that way, the kicker for South Florida wouldn't have had an easy field goal, and he ended up missing that, and Florida would win in regulation by the skin of their teeth, 31-28. I don't think Billy Napier is going to need that this time. Mississippi State, this one is the homecoming game. I had them at 10th. I think this is the homecoming game after they get done on the road at Texas A&M. Mississippi State, probably the most likely victory on Florida's schedule conference-wise. So they're number 10th. There's really not that much that Mississippi State have that can threaten UF, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, they kind of gave UF a little bit of trouble last year, but that was when Florida was just in a complete disarray. I think this time Florida will get put up a more dominant performance and actually, blow out Mississippi State like they were supposed to last year, and even better. Kentucky, I put them at 9th. Now, has a little bit of importance because Florida has not won at Kentucky since 2019. I don't know what it is with Kentucky, but for some reason they just always give Florida their best. And Mark Stoops, while giving Florida troubles, it seems like Kentucky is getting worse and worse underneath him as the head coach. And I think he's probably gone within a couple of seasons. Not after this season, but I think following season next year may be his final year there. I have them at number 9. Ole Miss, they want revenge on Florida, along with Kentucky, for losing those two games and knocking them out of the college football playoff. That will be on the road after the Georgia game. They'll be in Oxford at the Grove. That's what the Ole Miss fans call their home field, the Grove. That I have them at number 8. Number 7, Texas A&M on the road at College Station. Texas A&M destroyed Florida last year when it looked like Billy Napier was practically walking the green mile, so to speak, with his job security. They're going to be there. I have them at number 7. Now, number 6, I'm going to give a little bit more of a breakdown here. It's the Florida State game. Obviously, I'm going to have this game pretty high because it's Florida State and Florida hate each other. The reason why I can't put them at number 6 when last year I did, because I think last year, I think I had them in the top 5 in terms of when I did this video before the season started. Florida State was coming off that great year, 13-1. ACC championship. It seemed like they were really just neck and shoulders above the other two programs, Florida and Miami, and they fell down to earth. And not only fell down hard, going 2-10 last year. Players trying to fight Florida because Florida planted the flag, yet they had no energy in almost all the other games that they had the entire season, except for maybe Cal, but I guess Florida planting the flag, was an insult to the University of Florida State football team when everybody and their grandmother came into that stadium and beat Florida State badly. So that's a revenge game for Mike. Well, there's a lot of games that Mike Novell could win next year that would do him some good, but I think this Florida game in particular, because of what the post-game antics and how the Florida players rubbed it in, excuse me, is I think he's gonna have that one circle in red. He's gonna be like in garnet red, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, you want to plant a flag in our home field? Well, then we'll come into our stadium. We'll beat you down worse than you did to us." So I think FSU is gonna come into that game very motivated to get revenge. So that's the reason why I had that game at number 6. Number 5, same reason why I have Florida, like Florida State. I think Florida's going to want to head into the Miami game very motivated to get revenge over what happened last year. The same way Florida rubbed it in FSU's face is exactly what Miami did to Florida in that opener. You know, it was just I still say it's the worst loss in Billy Napier's career, 41-17 in Miami, with all that was riding on him at that point in his tenure. All the hot offseason build up to it, and to put out a performance like that was just absolutely horrible for Billy Napier and a bad look for the program. Florida obviously bounced back from that and were, head and shoulders above where they were at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season compared to where they were at the beginning. But that loss still leaves a bitter taste in my mouth, and I'm sure it leaves a better taste in the mouths of the program. And I know the players are going to want revenge for that Miami game. It might be the most anticipated game again of the entire season for Florida, but for different reasons. Number 4, I put Texas. Last year, Florida played Texas for the first time as an SEC opponent. Texas A&M destroyed Florida, of course, and I didn't think Florida was going to win that game. But Florida had a lot of starters on both sides of the ball out, and they had to play third-string quarterback. And, Texas did what they were supposed to do, and that was blow Florida out like they were supposed to. I don't begrudge Texas at all, but I want to see how Texas will look into this game, being that Florida is going to come off a bye week and will more than likely be way healthier heading into that game than they did last season when they went on the road at Austin. That's that's a high anticipated matchup for us Florida fans. LSU, I think this is the number 3. I think that's the most important road game in Billy Napier's career. I said it in the previous video. He does not have a signature road win under his belt. The closest one you can come to was maybe South Carolina 2 years ago, but even then, South Carolina was 4-8. So it's like, how much stock can you really put into that? Last year, you got 2 road victories in one season for the first time in your career at Florida. Yay. But it was against a pair of 2-10 teams in Florida State and Mississippi State. So not much to write about right there. And that's before the Miami game. And that's the very first big test of Florida's season, because they have arguably the toughest schedule in college football again in 2025. May not be as backloaded as it was last year, but if you're talking about just throughout the entire year and where it's based on throughout the middle and ending of the seasons, I would probably say Florida has one of the toughest. So LSU is at number 3. Number 2, Tennessee. There was no excuse for Florida to lose that game last year with the way they were pushing Tennessee around at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball in the first half. Billy Napier calling that stupid jet sweep on 4th and inches when the run game was killing Tennessee up to that point in the game, fumbling the football at the 1-yard line and not getting any points. And then you had that stupid 12-man on the field penalty that took away a field goal that would have given Florida the 3 points that they needed to win the Tennessee game last year. That's right before the Florida State game. And that is at a critical point in the season where, college football playoff rankings are coming out, and during that time, and a big win for Florida like that, if they are still potentially contending for one, beating Tennessee will more than likely be good for them. And playing Tennessee that late in the season, you just don't see it with Florida and Tennessee that often. I don't know why the SEC just won't let it be a third Saturday in September matchup again. And number 1, of course, is the Georgia game. Georgia, Florida. Georgia hates Florida. Florida hates Georgia. DJ Lagway goes down when Florida's up 10-3. Aiden Warner comes in, does his best, keeps Florida in the game for the most part. They go into halftime 13-6. And then a few mistakes by Florida on special teams again help Georgia come back and win the game, along with a few other things that went in Georgia's favor. Florida's defense was playing lights out in the first half. The offense on DJ Lagway was moving the ball pretty good against Georgia, but that injury to DJ Lagway really turned that game around in favor of UGA. No matter how much UGA fans want to deny that, DJ Lagway leaving had a massive impact on that game. And, excuse me, sorry about that. No matter how UGA fans much they want to deny it, losing DJ Lagway did help UGA win that game. And it's going to come across as UGA fans like to say, oh, you're bragging about a loss. We're not bragging about a loss. It's just a fact. Losing DJ Lagway killed Florida in that game because the offense was moving up and down against Georgia better than I've seen them do it in years past under Billy Napier's offense. And it's been a while since Florida has had the quarterback that could give that has given Georgia troubles since the Kyle Trask year in 2020. Other than that, it's been mainly just Georgia just walking all over Florida in every phase of the game. And they could do that again this year. You don't put it past Kirby Smart not to, but to me, this is the most important game. I think that's the most important game of Billy Napier's entire head coaching career, not just this season or the season before. I think in his head coaching career overall, he really needs this victory against Georgia to show that he is the head coach to be around at Florida for years and years and years to come. And again, if Florida wants to compete for college football playoffs and make deep playoff runs, with the fact that it's keep getting expanded more and more and more, because this 12-team playoff bracket is in its final year already. They're going to go into the 14 playoff bracket next year and the following year after, and then they're eventually going to extend it to 16 teams. So they need these big time victories to not just for Billy Napier's sake, but for the players to have that experience and to play in those big games, so that way they can compete for national championships, and like how Florida has used to do in the past. So if they want to prove themselves to the College Football Playoff Committee, victories over Georgia and Tennessee and LSU and Texas or Miami, that's a step in that direction, a massive step in that direction. So that was it. Not too long of a video. Georgia is the number one important game of the entire season in my eyes, and not just for and not just for the fan base, but for I think for Billy Napier and the state of the program as well. So that's my pick. Top five: Miami 5, Texas 4, LSU 3, Tennessee 2, Georgia 1.